This is the third and final draft of this sermon for the Torah portion, Va'era. You can find a written version at patreon.com/Brendan Howard, or you can just look at this, or you can ignore it completely if you don't feel like hearing a sermon/Devar Torah about the Torah portion for this coming week. And per usual, I'm going to give it a minute to run at the top. So there's a lot of crap at the beginning of this. If you want to jump ahead, you should probably jump ahead to 60 seconds. Right around there is probably when I'll start talking about something better. Actually give the Devar Torah. I'm a little sick, which is why I sound a little congested. So this is another good experiment. You can listen to me congested, and then another day I can be uncongested. Get the whole spectrum of my experience of my mucus. Shabbat Shalom. Our Jewish Bible is full of good stories that resonate with us. And sometimes we see ourselves in the characters, or we see parallels between their experiences and our own. Well, today, I'm impressed by the Hebrew foreman, an overseer, one of the Shotrei B'nai Israel in the second book, the book of Shemot. In biblical Hebrew, shoter is an official. And in last week's Torah portion, the Shotrei B'nai Israel are the Hebrew officials in charge of the Hebrew slaves owned by Pharaoh. In that Torah portion, Moses tells Pharaoh to let the slaves go for a few days to sacrifice to the Lord. Pharaoh says, heck no. In fact, make them work harder to make their bricks. Make them gather their own straw. They do what they're told, but output slows, and our Hebrew overseers, God bless them, go straight to the company boss in chapter 5, verses 15 through 18. The foreman of the Israelites came to Pharaoh and cried, why do you deal thus with your servants? No straw is issued to your servants, yet they demand of us, make bricks. Thus your servants are being beaten when the fault is with your own people. He, Pharaoh, replied, you are shirkers. Shirkers. That is why you say, let us go and sacrifice to the Lord. Be off now to your work. No straw shall be issued to you, but you must produce your quota of bricks. So does it sound familiar? Doing more with less in the workplace? Given too much work with not enough supplies or time or people, and then told by the bosses it's because you're lazy and it's your fault. Because you want a little vacation. Asking for a vacation, what a sin. My dad, of blessed memory, knew about this. He was a lineman in a labor union, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. I know that's not an egalitarian name. And he liked that union so much, he quit as a lineman and worked directly for the union. And that union did terrible things. They tried to get those people working on those electrical poles safer conditions, more money, more time off, shirkers. Now, let's look at this week's Torah portion, Va'era. God tells Moses, I've heard the moaning of the Israelites, chapter 6, verse 5. So go tell them it's all done. They're going to be freed. God is going to be their new boss. It's going to be great. Well, you know what? 4 verses later, but when Moses told this to the Israelites, they would not listen to Moses. Their spirits crushed by cruel bondage. The extra work had knocked the wind out of those Hebrew slaves, which is probably why they didn't trust that anything could get better. You may or may not know, but this still happens thousands of years later. Folk singer and rabble-rouser Pete Seeger sings about it in his song, Talking Union. Suppose they're working you so hard, it's just outrageous. They're paying you all starvation wages. You go to the boss, and the boss would yell, before I'd raise your pay, I'd see you all in hell. Well, he's puffing a big cigar and feeling mighty slick. He thinks he's got your union licked. He looks out the window, and what does he see? But 1,000 pickets, and they all agree he's a bastard, unfair, slave driver. But if you all stick together, now 'twon't be long, you'll get shorter hours, better working conditions, vacations with pay, take your kids to the seashore, or sacrifice to the Lord in the case of our Hebrew slaves. Now, unlike Pete Seeger, I am not telling you that a labor union today will solve your problems, or that your boss is a slave driver, or that Judaism says to vote this way or that way on unions. I'm just saying, when things are not going well at work, and some of your brave coworkers rise up and tell truth to power in your company, well, remember the brave Hebrew overseers who marched right into Pharaoh's throne room and yelled how it wasn't fair. And you read it, it wasn't fair. Yes, in the Torah, eventually somebody with a big vision, God, and a prophet will come along and change things. But I'm not talking about that big vision right now. I'm talking about those little people that pop up in the gaps between big visions, like the Hebrew midwives who saved male babies from death one Torah portion ago. Before any of the miracles happened for the Hebrew slaves, there were those midwives and our overseers, our shotrei b'nei Israel. So may we all be like Moses, who tries to help people get some time off, but fails in the beginning, and like the Hebrew overseers, trying to fix things for their fellow slaves, even if it didn't work right then and there. If you know any brave people like this, well, pat them on the back. And if that's you, you can pat yourself on the back and say, thanks for sticking up for the little gal, the little guy. Ken Yehi Ratzon. May it be God's will. Shabbat Shalom.